Folks, what's up? We're back. It's been a minute, but we are still alive and still doing stuff. That's Leroy. I'm Michael.
Yo, some of us are still alive. I'm just here physically. I'm dead inside.
God, what a story to tell us. Yeah, this is the We Try channel with Nerdy by Nature Productions. We react to random stuff and comic stuff and nerd stuff and pop stuff and all that good stuff. And then the latest thing we're going to react to is the new season for Doctor Who. With is this the 14th Doctor now? I don't know. Doctor Who beings will let me know in the chat when I get it wrong. But yeah, we got a new season of Doctor Who coming up soon. Leroy, what do you know about Doctor Who?
Um, let's see. That he is a time that the entity that is Doctor Who is a Time Lord.
Hmm.
You just had your first female Time Lord not too long ago. The
Well, okay, sure. Go ahead. Yeah,
um the new Time Lord is a black guy,
he's a black man. Yep. I
and
think he. I think people knew him from, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think he might have been on Sex Education. That's where
and
people knew him first before he got his role.
and the theme song is iconic.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, there are fixed points in the timeline that cannot be changed. I've seen in other media and other like video games or comics, and that's a reference to Doctor Who, where
Yes,
there
which is all bullshit because it changes anyway. But go ahead.
there are fixed points. So if you look at like we just had the Flash movie that came out recently, and the whole idea behind the Flash movie was Wally's no Barry. Did Ezra play Barry Allen or Wally West? No, he played Barry Allen.
He played Barry
He
Allen.
played Barry Allen because
Uh-huh.
his mom was murdered. Anyway, that his mom's murder was a fixed point in that reality. If you change that, it changes the nature of the reality. And correct me if I'm wrong. That is a Doctor Who thing that there are fixed points within the timeline. Now, hold on. That was something that was established before, but it has now changed. Whereas comics have kept that thing, where they have kept that particular.
You talking about Doctor Who comics?
Yeah, no, not Doctor Who, just comics in
Oh,
general.
comics in general. Okay.
Like that, there are fixed things within. So we've seen that within the Spider Verse, where the canon must be preserved, and that there
Hmm.
are certain things within the timelines that every Spider Man's uncle or dad must die once he becomes captain. The uncle must die, and if you have a dad, he's got to die too, sacrificed at the altar of canon. So I find that very interesting. So that's pretty much what I know about Doctor Who.
All that sounds basically about what it is.
Hmm.
Doctor Who is just a fun show of crazy sci-fi that the Brits
And their
came up with.
dialects.
Daleks, for sure,
Daleks.
Daleks, whatever.
Yes.
It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
Daleks, Cybermen. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's fun, campy sci-fi that can at times have some really great seasons and really great stories, and other times you're like, what's happening?
Okay.
Um, I and this will be interesting. We'll see whoever reacts to this or watches our reaction. I wonder because I'm not on the internet like you. I think the consensus is people like the new Doctor.
Mm,
You don't know, or you disagree?
I would say that there's with the internet there is never a consensus.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think there are more positives than negatives about the new Doctor, though. I think compared to like Jodie Whittaker, because people just wanted to hate her because she was a lady.
So I'm not. So this is where this becomes, and we can get to the trailer in a second. Um, this is where this becomes. This is not my wheelhouse.
Sure,
So I am not a purveyor of all things negative.
sure.
So I don't. So I kind of stay away from that type of sphere of. I'm not in the Doctor Who sphere.
Hmm.
So I'm not aware of whether it's negative or positive. I have seen the pushback that Jodie Whittaker got and this new gentleman, I've seen that
Hmm.
outrage and I've seen that pushback. So I don't know which part of the algorithm is feeding me that
Sure,
this is a fair representation of
sure.
there's a consensus people love him, there's a consensus people hate him. I don't know where that falls. So I because you would I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have thought the consensus was Black Panther is a great movie. I
Hmm.
was just at a comic panel tonight and a gentleman who is black, he wasn't like an egg or a figment of my imagination. When we had the panel, was like, "Hey, man, I thought Black Panther's overrated. I didn't think it was that good." And we were like, "Wait, what?" So,
Okay,
so yeah.
okay.
So let's get to the trailer.
Let's get to the trailer. Here we go. Boom.
I am the last of the Time Lords. I'm from a different planet. An evolved life form. And I have waited for the day of your arrival. I'm the doctor.
Doctor what?
Just the doctor.
All right then. I'm called the nurse.
Good team. You left Earth.
It's been 2
It was
hours.
6 months ago. This should get you back. It is bigger on the inside than the outside.
You need to get me home.
You don't need to rush, cause
This is a time machine.
boom. 1952. 51st century.
The 803rd Interstellar Song Countdown!
Hey,
Oh,
Ricky
we're so
Morty did that.
safe.
We're staying.
What year is this?
2007.
Can't you get this box of yours fixed? Have you ever heard of the planet Earth?
Never heard of him.
My parents are back home. Are they safe?
I hope so.
There's Ruby.
What?
Who's Ruby?
I think we're being
The white girl that we saw.
animated.
Gosh, I'm all flat. And this waistline is impossible.
I will not fail you. Everything is out of sync. Our entire reality is in danger.
I've heard that before.
I promised that I would keep you safe.
But you can't promise.
I can. I will.
Ooh.
I do.
Giant spiders.
Okay. When does it give us a date on when it starts though?
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.
Well, thank you, Doctor.
I see he doesn't believe in t-shirts.
That's a free man. He lets his chest hang out. He does what he
Got,
wants.
got his chest all out.
Yeah, that's his look. That's his style.
So
Okay.
who's Ruby you were talking about?
Ruby Sunday. She was the last companion. So essentially, in Doctor Who, you have the Doctor, whoever it is,
Mhm.
and then you have his companion. It can be a male, a female, it could be whatever. Um, the last season before this, his companion was Ruby Sunday, who we saw. It was the white girl, maybe like a minute into the show or into the
Mhm.
teaser. Um, and I can't remember. I have such a bad memory. I don't know why she's not with him now, but I'm curious. I remember the news saying when they cast this new girl to be the companion, they're like, "Oh, what happened to Ruby or whatever." Um, and they said she's going to be in in the series, so that's good to see that she'll be back in some kind of way. I'm wondering if she's working for UNIT, which is essentially the paramilitary organization in the Doctor Who universe that works with him to stop alien threats. Um, but yeah, questions?
Does the doctor always have a companion?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because I think the whole idea is that the companion acts as the audience because we get to be the be the companion as they look through the doctor, who's the doctor's timeless, they're ageless, whatever. We don't know how old the doctor really is. And depending on who plays the doctor, sometimes it's a wizened old veteran, sometimes it's a young cantankerous kid, sometimes it be a grumpy person, and just whoever depends
Kind
on.
of like David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant.
So I know. So here's the thing: I do know who has been the Doctor,
Mhm,
and I know it is a great honor to play this role.
mhm.
So I became aware of the Doctor and why in pop culture, and that it was an honor to play the Doctor. The first one that I really recognized was Chris Eccleston.
He is the first of the modern when it rebooted
Yes.
in
So
2008 or whatever it
I
was. Yeah.
remember when he was the Doctor, and I remember the hubbub about him, and I remember when Peter Capaldi was cast.
Hmm.
Um, David Tennant. Like I remember when they were cast. I just never got around to watching them. And
Hmm.
then you would see them go on to other things. I remember Chris Eccleston talking about that it was a mistake leaving the Doctor when he did because he thought he was going to be a movie star.
Hmm.
And it was interesting that he left to become a movie star, whereas Peter Capaldi was starred in movies and then came to do the Doctor. Same, and so like these people's trajectories in their careers when they become the Doctor is interesting. And I would actually like to watch a documentary about how, because one of the things that I do know is that Doctor Who's adventures, it was in the storytelling because the budget was not always there for them to do
No.
big special effects and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Doctor Who usually does. It can look kind of cheap at times.
Yes, so that the attraction was these fantastic ideas that they brought to the TV show.
Hmm.
It might not have been pulled off like a Star Trek that had more of a budget. Um, so it, and we've done this before. I don't remember which doctor. It might have been Jodie uh, Whittaker. How long does a person normally get for their Doctor Who run?
It depends. I think usually 2 to 3 seasons. You for most recently 2 to 3 seasons.
Mhm.
Um, David Tennant. Oh, people are gonna come after me, but it's fine. I think David Tennant did it for 3 seasons, but then he also did a bunch of like
Specials.
yeah, specials.
Hmm.
So he may have had the most. And then he
Who's
actually he also came back recently too and did 3 more specials like
yeah?
last year before the new Doctor came or whatever.
So let me ask you this:
Hmm.
two questions.
Hmm.
First question: who was the Doctor Who that got you into this? Like, who was the Doctor? What's the first Doctor Who that you remember that you were like, okay, this is something I want to watch?
Oh, it was Chris Eccleston.
Okay.
Because and I don't know if you remember when America tried to do Doctor Who and they did like a movie
No.
before or after Christopher Eccleston. It must have been
I
before.
swear, I no.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but America's like, hey, we'll try and do Doctor Who, and they had like a doctor within a movie that didn't go anywhere, and then BBC rebooted it again. And that's when Christopher Eccleston came. But for me, I think
Oh, I found it. All American Doctor Who.
yeah, who was the guy in that?
Was so the Doctor was played by Brett Murray. Interesting. They did have Dalek, Nicholas Bridges, Dalek Fred was in this as well.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about
Oh,
American Doctor Who. I don't know what that is.
oh, okay.
That's I'm talking about something even different. I don't even know what that
Oh,
is.
okay.
Interesting. Okay.
So go on because I'm interested that because we've seen this filtration back and forth between British TV being remade and American
Hmm.
television and American television being remade. Law and Order is one show that I've seen that's been remade and it didn't catch on over there. The Office is one that was over there that has come over here and then went on to have 10 seasons,
Hmm.
where it was only 2 seasons in the UK.
Hmm.
So explain more about this British invasion that did not take off.
Well, yeah, they did a movie. It didn't work, but then BBC did it with Chris Eccleston, and that's been going pretty strong. Um, I think Chris Eccleston did a season. Then David Tennant came in, and it really took off from there. That's when it was
Mhm.
at Comic Con every year. I think it's at Comic Con every year now, but that's when David Tennant was there, and then David Tennant left, and Matt Smith came in, and that continued the trend. Then Peter Capaldi came in, and I like Peter Capaldi, but I think he might have rubbed some people the wrong way because he wasn't as affable and likable as Matt Smith and David Tennant. He was just
Yeah.
more of an older, kind of grumpy guy, which I kind of liked. I like the idea
R-
of this guy or this entity who's been around forever.
And
He
here's
may
the thing.
not be happy.
And here's the thing. He is trading off of the characters he played in other shows and movies. So
Sure.
like he was brought on to be that guy. And I thought that was an interesting casting because you talk about it. When I see Peter Capaldi, I immediately think of um he was in a TV series, The Thick of It, and I'm trying to find the movie that he was in where he was the chief of staff.
Yeah.
He I have it on like original DVD. I'm trying to remember what it's called, but I'm looking up right now. And that was the movie that like I remember him being that, and then they were like, oh, he immediately went to play the doctor after that. Was it the Fifth Estate? No, although he was good in the Fifth Estate.
Okay. The thing I was talking about was it's called Doctor Who. The movie came out in 1996.
Ah, okay.
Peter McGann was a doctor in that, but also had Sylvester McCoy as the seventh Doctor. Yeah. Okay.
But it's just you say that because again, Peter, we Jodie Whittaker. Some people know her from the Doctor Who show. I was introduced to her Broadchurch.
That was how she got Doctor Who.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's interesting. You see some people, and then you see them go on to be in other things. But if I remember correctly, wasn't she in? And I'm looking it up now. Wasn't she in Attack the Block?
She was. Yep.
So it's interesting that some people were movie stars or starred in movies, went on to have very interesting careers in television, and then it's like, oh, right for this role. Whereas Matt did a lot of television, and like people remember him as a doctor, but now he's on Game of Thrones, and they're like, oh, you were made for this role.
Hmm.
And so, or David Tennant, who has been pretty much everybody likes him, and he plays these very nice characters. Then he goes on and goes against type as the Purple Man in Jessica Jones.
Hmm.
So, who is your favorite Doctor?
My favorite Doctor, I'd probably say Matt Smith.
Okay.
But this new guy, and I don't know, is it Noacto Guat? I don't know how you pronounce his name. I am enjoying him a lot. I really like the Christmas special that they did with him and the girl from Dairy Girls and the girl from Bridgerton. I can't think of her name. That was a really good Christmas special. Because one thing about Doctor Who is pretty much every year since it's been back, and they might have done it before, they have a Christmas special or a
Mhm.
New Year's Day special
Okay.
that you can always look forward to. For me, the thing about Doctor Who is it's fun that it kind of reinvents itself with every new lead actor to play the Doctor Who role.
Hmm.
Um, I think it gives you something different, and then depending on whoever the showrunner is with the Doctor as well, gets you different things. Are you familiar with Stephen Moffat?
Yes.
So he ran Doctor Who for a little bit. He started as writing a few episodes, and he got really popular like in the Who universe because he had some of the best one-off episodes like Blink. If you talk to people, people will say, "Oh, Blink, that's one of the best Doctor Who episodes because it's really good." It introduced us a new villain who has kind of become comical over time. But when you first heard about the villain, the Weeping Angels, it was a cool idea and crazy concept. But when he took over, maybe during Moffat's or maybe during Tennant's time and into Matt Smith's time, um, he started to get more and more serialized in the storytelling, and people, you could argue whether or not it was good or bad, but it's just fun to see these different combinations between showrunners and Doctor Who principal actors.
So, if you had to tell someone, and again, this is probably something we've talked about in the past, but we're doing it again.
Mhm.
If you had to tell someone to start Doctor Who, where would you send them?
So I think you could start with. I mean, honestly, I think you could start with the beginning of whenever a doctor, because a big thing, the term whenever a new person comes in to become the doctor is called regeneration, because
Hmm.
essentially the doctor has, well, at one point I think he only had 13 lives. He had a certain amount of lives he could use, but then they've retconned that to have as many lives as they need or whatever. But whenever a doctor regenerates, that can pretty much be a good jumping on time. So I would say if you wanted to, you could probably start with the first season of the current Doctor, just to get an idea of who he is and what he is, and watch now. Honestly, I mean, if you really get into it, I would tell you to go back to Christopher Eccleston and start with him,
Hmm.
because you get lore, you get a lot of really good companions. You get Rose Tyler, some one of people's favorite companions of all time, Rose Tyler, and the will they won't they between her and the Doctor. Um, you also get spin-off shows like Torchwood, and
Yep.
there was another spin-off show, I think. But Torchwood was good, and that also introduced us to Jack Harkness. Um,
I've heard about him.
yeah, the dude who loves everybody and has sex with everybody. He's just a free loving dude. Love it. Um, but I think you could start with the current run and be fine with that. I don't know if I would tell you to go all the way back to like the original Doctor Who, and I don't even know where you would find the original Doctor Who. Honestly, maybe you could check it out from a library or something. I don't know.
You talk about Rose Tyler, but it's funny because I know Karen Gillian or Gillan is
Amy
like
Pond.
that, huh?
Amy
Amy,
Pond.
yeah.
Yep.
So like, it's interesting you mentioned her, but some of the companions I know
Hmm.
and I've seen before, and then I've seen them other places, and it's like, where do I know? And it's like, oh, I've seen you in a trailer for the Doctor Who, like
Hmm.
Pearl Mackie.
Hmm.
Like I've seen her in other things, and then it's like, oh, how did you get your start, or how did you get put on? And it's like, oh, I remember you from Doctor Who. Even
Yeah.
though I'd never seen the show, it's like, oh, I remember seeing the trailer and seeing you pop up. So, um, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to start because there's so much out there. But
I think the thing with Doctor Who is it's easy to get caught up because it can be a very easy show to watch. You can, depending on who's running it, you can kind of put it on in the background if you want to. But I mean, if you really want to get into it and dig the lore, it can
Mhm.
be a lot, and it can be rewarding too. Because like, oh, this is crazy, and it's fun because the people that are running it now, and have run it in the past are really big Doctor Who fans. So they will go back into the 40, 50 plus year history of Doctor Who, they're probably
Ah,
60 now, whatever, and pull villains from back then, like, oh, this person is whoever. And
yeah.
it's just fun to see those people make a comeback.
Let me ask you this:
Mhm.
would you consider Doctor Who, based on British culture and how like ingrained in their culture it is? Would you consider it uniquely British, kind of like Star Trek is uniquely American?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think so, because I think it's, and people may come after me for this, but I think it goes hand in hand with James Bond. Like,
Ah, okay.
I think James Bond should always be British, personally.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Um, and I think Doctor Who, I don't care if it's female, male, black, white, but I like the idea of Doctor Who always being a British person.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, dolls, ladies, gents, turtles, cats and
Daleks,
dogs,
Cybermans,
however you
all the
identify,
people.
you
Hmm.
know, super villains. That's it. Tell us who your favorite Doctor Who is, who your favorite Time Lord. What's your favorite episode? Um, that's that because Michael talked about the
The Weeping Angels and Blink.
weeping
Yeah.
angels. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Not going to say I'm going to watch it, but I am intrigued. And one of the things that I like about this is the community does seem to, even though we talked about in the beginning, embracing this person, embracing that person, I don't hear the toxicity online about Doctor Who as much as I do maybe some of the other franchises. And I wonder, kind of like I mentioned Star Trek, and I wonder is it because of the nature of the show. But again, um, that's Michael. I'm Leroy. This is the We Trying channel presented by Nerdy by Nature Productions.
Mhm.
We apologize. We'll discuss a little bit more why we've been gone for a while. But for right now, we're back.
We're back until we're not again. Yeah.
Yeah, we're back,
That's wonderful.
baby.
All right, lady. Peace.
I said baby.
I said lady.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Bye.